The Allahabad High Court has overturned the CBI Court verdict in the sensational Aarushi Talwar Hemraj double murder case, acquitting Aarushi's dentist parents Rajesh and Nupur Talwar of the charges of murdering their daughter and domestic help. The High Court ruled that the CBI had failed to prove that the Talwars' guilt beyond reasonable doubt. The Talwar couple is expected to walk free from the Dasna jail in Ghaziabad today. Their relatives have expressed happiness over the judgment, saying the ordeal is finally over for the couple. Well, in fact, in a landmark judgment yesterday, the Allahabad High Court completely overturned the CBI Court's verdict and have acquitted the parents of Aarushi Talwar of the murder of their daughter as well as domestic help Hemraj. The court specifically said that there were loopholes in the CBI investigation and the evidence was not enough to convict them. Remember, in 2013, the special CBI court had convicted Rajesh and Nupur Talwar. They are currently lodged in the Dasna jail. We are told that around 12 p.m. today, they are expected to be released. Well, of course, we know where the case is concerned. There have been a number of U-turns repeatedly. In fact, it was earlier Hemraj, remember, who was the prime suspect immediately after the case was brought to light. Later, however, the police were embarrassed when their prime suspect was found dead 2 days later. Going across to my colleague Shreya for more on this. Shreya, any updated word coming in about when the Talwars are likely to be released? Well, we'll try and reconnect to my colleague Shreya very shortly, who's been tracking those developments over there from outside the Dasna jail. I believe she's been reconnected with us. Shreya, any updated word coming in on the Talwars release? Shreya, if you can hear me? Well, in fact, we'll get back to Shreya later. However, a narco test was conducted on Hemraj's friend Krishna by the CBI. We have a clipping of that for our viewers. Let's listen in.
Krishna था राय नेपाल का
कब इधर आए थे नोएडा
10-12 साल पहले आया था यहाँ
किसके पास इधर रुके
दीदी के पास
कौन सी जगह
सेक्टर 25 नोएडा L14 में
अच्छा 10-12 साल से आप क्या क्या कर रहे हैं
पढ़ाई भी करता था साथ में काम भी करता था
कब तक पढ़ा है
अभी मैंने 12th दिया है मैं
12th
हाँ जी
12th examination
दिए
In the year 2011, NewsX had spoken extensively to Rajesh and Nupur Talwar. Listen in.
Are you absolutely convinced that it is one of the three servants, that it is Krishna?
Again, I don't think I would like to answer that. It's again pointing fingers
But
at
in
people.
your heart of heart, you know that that is where your suspicion is.
It could be.
Yes.
And you are building this up because of the altercation or altercations that you had with him. And you saw that look in his eyes.
That's possible. That's possible.
It was a look of anger.
Yes.
Did you see that look of anger? No. Did he mention it to you?
No, he didn't even mention it. I didn't even know about this.
You don't exchange.
No, but we've talked. I haven't specifically told her about any particular look, but I guess I mean I thought that could be one reason. That could be a that he could have reacted.
Now, in retrospect, probably he has been talking about it, but probably it never occurred to anyone. Never occurred to any of us that something so serious could happen.
Supposing one takes it's actually he is innocent until he is found guilty, but you suspect that it is him. Why would he kill your daughter?
Again, this is, due respect and due regards, I think this is something which is very difficult for me to start talking about. It's not fair. I know what it feels like if somebody points fingers at me. So I don't want to do that on anybody. Let the agency, let them get something, let them prove something, and then we'll do
This
that.
is why we're asking for a reinvestigation. Let
This
them
is the
find
reason why we're asking for it.
find the right culprits. We don't want to talk. We don't want to make allegations against anyone.
Could it be anyone other than these three who came through Hemraj's room and went to Aarushi's room?
Not that we know of.
Where was the key? Why was the key lost?
Then Nupur can answer that. I think Nupur was the one who used to have the key.
The key was, it was not lost. The only way I could put this across is that when I was almost dropping off to sleep and Rajesh told me to go and put on the router in the next room, I kind of woke up from I was almost dozing off. And I did go into Aarushi's room, and she was reading a Chetan Bhagat book, in fact. And
She was?
Yeah. And I put on the router and I said, okay, Aarushi, good night, now you go to sleep. And I pulled back the door and I walked out. Probably the biggest mistake of my life.
Going across to my colleague Abhimanyu Sharma, who joins us from outside the Allahabad High Court. Abhimanyu, any word coming in from the CBI now that their investigation has proven to be completely false? A number of loopholes have been pointed out by the Allahabad High Court.
Well, exactly, it hasn't exactly been proven false, but rather the theories which they were projecting on the basis of the findings and the circumstantial evidence, the court had found that that was not enough to convict somebody on the basis of mere theories. And also the entire closure report which was filed by the CBI, of course, which NewsX had dissected part by part, word by word yesterday, clearly displays the fact that there were certain lacuna which were overlooked by the CBI and which were, of course, taken into cognizance by the court. For example, when we spoke to Talwar's lawyer yesterday, he had clearly claimed that at the point of time of filing the medical report of the deceased, it was seen that Hemraj's body was found swollen, and it was projected from the fact, ignoring the reality that that post-death the body of anybody swells down, and there's nothing unusual about it, but rather that was projected as if he was in an excited state, he was in a state of arousal, and that was found to be the reason which was written in the report, on the basis of which such theories were projected. So of course the projection of those theories was not substantiated amply by the evidences and the circumstantial evidence which was collected. On the basis of that itself, it was found to be inconclusive whether any such action or any such conviction could have been taken place on the basis of mere theories and circumstantial evidence. Evidences which could not be ignored, of course. Certainly some of them did go against Talwars, but they were not conclusive enough to nail their complicity in the murder, or to nail their complicity whether they were only present out there. Also, the court yesterday, while delivering its verdict, had also raised questions over the possibility of anyone gaining entry or proximity to the residence of Talwars, something which was earlier completely denied by the CBI. The CBI, of course, as well as the Noida police, had deduced at different points of time that there was no way somebody
Right,
could have
at the same
entered
time,
or exited
Abhimanyu,
the Talwar
at
residence,
one point
and
of
they
time,
had,
the CBI had recommended a closure report, but at the same time, a short while later, they also recommended the death penalty against the Talwars, two people who have now proven to be innocent by the court.
Well, exactly, and those findings, of course, have been trashed by the court to the extent that the circumstantial evidence cannot be used as a basis or grounds to convict somebody if it does not turn out to be conclusive. As far as gaining entry or proximity to the Talwar residence was concerned, CBI and the Noida police earlier, both of them had assumed at different points of time that since it was established, they were claiming that it was established beyond doubt that there was nobody else who could have gained entry or could have exited the Talwar residence. They indicted the Talwar couple who were, according to them, responsible for their daughter's murder and also for the murder of Hemraj. And that is something which was trashed by the High Court. The High Court said it hasn't been proven beyond doubt, which clearly means that there could have been a possibility of somebody entering the house, making the committing the murders, and then coming out of the house. So since that possibility was not completely ruled out, it's not possible, of course, to convict somebody, and that is something in line with the Indian law.
But at the same time, Abhimanyu, this implies that there's a high possibility that the Talwars are innocent, as the court has in fact observed. And at the same time, apart from the trauma of having to lose their child, they also had to spend 4 years in jail.
Well, exactly, and of course, there's nothing, no court order. There's nothing which can compensate for the loss of 4 years which they have spent in jail, even after losing their dear daughter. And of course, they were charged with not one but 2 murders, and to the extent that even death penalty was being advocated for them at certain point of time. And now, of course, when they have been exonerated, they have been acquitted. At this point of time, of course, their family is heaving a sigh of relief. But still, the biggest question still remains that who exactly committed the murders. And certainly the evidences which have come out in the public domain, which have been presented at different points of time to the different courts by the CBI and the Noida police.
Is
of course,
the CBI
they do have certain
Abhimanyu expected to file an appeal?
but also, well, of course, it is expected that when the order copy comes before the CBI and after consulting legal experts on the basis of the lacuna which they do find in the order, they might appeal it in the Supreme Court. But that's something which remains to be seen till what extent it would be accepted. And even when the CBI tries to file one, on what basis are they going to file an appeal? On what basis they are going to challenge the verdict in the Supreme Court?
Right. At the same time, this also means that even if they do file an appeal, Abhimanyu, there will be no reinvestigation, which means that at the end of the day, none of us are ever going to know who killed Aarushi Talwar.
Well, the possibility of reinvestigation theoretically cannot be ruled out, but practically speaking, even at the time of the case being transferred to the CBI, most of the evidence which could have been collected from the spot was already lost till then. And that is something, of course, which was attributed to the Noida police, allowing proximity to almost anyone and anyone at the crime scene post the taking place of the incident. And even rains took place the next day of the incident, which washed away several of the evidence which might have been located on the terrace of the Talwar residence. So, of course, it's a bleak possibility that any new evidences would be discovered or any new testimonies would take place. But something which can be corroborated on the basis of the existing testimonies.